Good morning from Wales. I'm in the Gower in South Wales on the Gower Peninsula. I'm going to go out and do a long run in the Nike Ultrafly trail shoes today. Planning to do around 50k, 51k, mostly on the Wales coastal path, which is exceptionally beautiful around here. Got quite a sunny day, the first sunny day of my holiday, so hopefully this is going to work out quite well in terms of the weather. Try and work out which way the wind's going. I've done a couple of runs in the Nike shoes already and really like them so far for just generally quite easy runs on trails. Like I did a real mixed bag of terrains in them and they've been really comfortable. They felt very light despite the fact they're not very light, and I have felt really good after those runs, like getting some of that energy saving benefits of the ZoomX foam and carbon plate tech in there. So I've done about 30k in them across 2 runs so far. This will obviously be a much longer run. It'll be my longest run ever, both in terms of distance and time, so that'll be interesting. A few other bits I'm going to test along the way. I've got the Coros HR monitor on the arm, which has been very good for me so far in terms of ease of use and accuracy. I'm using Decathlon's Evadict trail running backpack I'm going to use, because all this is kind of in prep for my first ultra event later this summer, and I want to test out a few bits of gear I'm likely to use for that. So yeah, that's the main bits going on. 4 and a 965 on the wrist with the map, and just generally really excited for it because it's a lovely day. This is one of my favourite places, if not my favourite place in the world to run. Got a really nice route lined up, mostly along the coast after a little bit of road to get there to start with, and I really like the shoes so far, so hoping they'll continue to impress me today. Okay then, here we go. So I'm through first 5k of the route. I'm going to apologise if the water sloshing around my backpack is too annoying, it's too loud in all these videos. We'll find out later, I guess. So first 4.5k all on road, so good chance to talk about the Ultrafly on the road, where it performed really well, as you'd expect. It's not got the longest lugs in the world, got that big comfy midsole, quite a high drop for a trail shoe as well. It is noticeable, it's very different to things like the Vaporfly, obviously. It's not got that big squish underfoot, which you wouldn't want. So it just feels quite soft, forgiving, but not as bouncy. And actually it feels, on a trail like I'm on now, where I'm on hard packed wooden trail with soft pine needles on top, it feels a little bit softer almost on this kind of stuff. When you've got the extra softness of the trail as well. But the point is, good road shoe, very good road to trail shoe. It's more likely to struggle at the other end of the spectrum on more, wet trails. The width of the shoe is also quite interesting for me. So I have quite a narrow foot, and the Ultrafly is very wide in the forefoot. Now, this is good for feet swelling up, people with wide feet. And in general, it also creates a lot of stability when you're going down hills. Like, if you're on reasonably good terrain, you can just let your legs go entirely and trust that wide shoe is going to catch you. But the one thing I have noticed about it is, because I have got a narrow foot, what's that phrase, proprioception, something like that, your awareness of your own body. I'm not aware sometimes of how wide the shoe is, because my foot isn't that wide. And if I'm looking over my shoulder for a car or distracted, I have clipped my ankle sometimes with the front of the shoe, the other ankle, because just not expecting the shoe coming through to be that wide. But most parts is a positive, you probably get used to that over time, but yeah, it's a lot wider than my foot. So about halfway through now, I would describe myself as quite pleasantly tired. This is the point when I normally stop on a long run and go, the job well done, we're over 2 hours now. But I've got a nice rhythm going on this slightly more runnable stretch I'm on now, which is on cliff tops, and it's grass and mud and past Rossley Bay, and I think I'm done with sand running for a little while, which is good. There is some more later, I know that, and a bit of sea running as well potentially. But the shoes really are comfortable. I know they've got a big stack, obviously. I'm going to go down there, hang on. Let's get directions. Yep. So right now I'm actually going down quite a muddy descent. So grip is better than you'd expect for Nike shoes, because the Vibram is there. I did go in some deep mud earlier and messed them up a bit, and that was on the level though, so grip wasn't a problem. But yeah, it's really comfort's the thing, and when you start ticking, it really does move you nicely, this shoe. It's got a bit more of a rocker than I thought. It's quite a smooth ride, because sticking mostly to quite gentle paces, obviously, and you can just roll and roll and roll. So it feels like when I do hit a nice stretch, even if it's a slight uphill, I can recover quite a lot in this shoe, just moving to a relaxed pace. So yeah, so far very comfy. See how things go from here. Bit into the unknown now, because I haven't run longer than 3 hours for a long time. So we'll see how that goes. All right, so we've just gone through the marathon mark, about 3 hours 45. officially the longest time I've ever run now. I think the longest I've ever run before was my first marathon, which is about 3:29. So it's not long left now. I've got a bit of a sandy stretch now, flat, and then the biggest climb on the whole route, which is not gonna be that fun, I imagine. I've just basically gone from Rossilia down to Port Einan and through Port Einan and Oxwich now. I'm just gonna go over Cefn Bruin to get home. I apologise to any Welsh people or anyone who knows how to pronounce things. How I'm pronouncing all these things, they're probably wrong. So yeah, just gonna get out. I've got a steep climb, and then the last 5k should be downhill actually, so that should be nice. But I'm just gonna get through this climb. Shoes still feel good. I had a really nasty staircase up and down around the 41k mark, which, God, didn't feel good. But yeah, the feet still feel in great condition. They're very comfy, these shoes, for sure. I think the uppers leave a lot to be desired. Like, there's been several points on the run where, you know, I've had to just drag my feet through some, you know, it's a little bit of foliage, something like that. Nothing too crazy. I've not been like ploughing through thick stuff, and they, you know, catch little thorns and things like that and hold them in your foot, and they go through the upper. So that's not great. But broadly speaking, they're great underfoot. Had some muddy stretches. They've coped with that fine. Pace is obviously very slow now, probably between probably around 6 a k, something like that. Occasional speed up when I get scared by a horse, but mostly just plowing on now. So just gotta get up this hill, coast home, and then I'll check in then probably. Oh no, here comes some sand. So I'm all done. I'm absolutely knackered. That last hill was not the way to plan the route, to do that on the way back. It was very long, very hard on grass, but pleased to get up and over. I'm going to frantically get something to drink, so I've run out of water a little while back, and then I will check in later with some thoughts on shoes, gear, general distances. But yeah, that was, for the most part, very, very fun. Last bit tough, kind of what you expect really. So morning, it is the morning after the run I did yesterday. Didn't have any time yesterday to film, so just gonna do my wrap up now. Had more of a chance to reflect on everything that yesterday and the gear used and how it went in general. So overall, I really loved it. I mean, it was a perfect place to be. I love the Gower. I think it's my favourite place in the world to run. Every run I've done here has been amazing, and for the first 40k yesterday, I was having the best time ever. And then, like I say, I had that big climb at the end yesterday, which was a lot bigger than expected because the elevation on Garmin's route planner in particular is always a bit of a lie, and that last hill just went on and on and on, and actually I thought it was a couple of k up, then 5k down, and actually it was 5k up and a couple of k down, so it really slowed down and got very tired towards the end. A few other rookie mistakes didn't help along the way. I've never run this far before, like I say, like almost 2 hours longer than any other run I've done, and it's didn't have enough water by the end, things like that. But I had a really good time. Really enjoyed all the different scenery around here. The Gower in Wales has just everything. So also there was beach running, there was some sand running, there was some forest running, some rocks, a lot of grass, a bit of road. So it really was a little bit of everything. Some big muddy patches as well. Elevation overall was about 1,000 meters. So, you know, nothing too big in terms of one climb. That last climb at the end I think was probably 160, 200 meters, something like that, but nothing overall was very long, but lots of little climbs, lots of ups and downs, lots of fun basically. A few cows that scared me a bit when I was tired, but overall I had a really good time, and obviously a great chance to test loads and loads of gear. We'll start with the Ultrafly, which for the most part really impressed me. Like, I really like the shoe. Like, it's really expensive, and I'm sure there are probably shoes that can do what it does for less, but I'm not very experienced in this area. I think we should caveat a lot of this by saying, like I say, it's the first time I've run that long yesterday. I'm not a very experienced ultra runner. Take that into account with my views. We'll have our full review down the line with Kieran in as well, who obviously is an experienced ultra runner. But as someone who went out, you know, fairly inexperienced, ran, like I say, an hour and 45 minutes longer than I have done for 5 years, something like that, I feel really good the next day. I felt throughout very comfortable, very supported. I do think you're getting that little efficiency boost, that certainly leg saving boost from the ZoomX foam and the plate that just means you can recover a bit quicker. Like, I'm feeling okay today. I'm not going to run for a few days, but I do feel okay today, and I felt like I could keep ticking over. There were points in the run where I really could get into a nice rhythm, even really tired, running on grass. Just feel like I'm ticking over now, I'm ticking over. The pace obviously isn't high, but I can feel like I can keep going, I can sustain this. And it really felt deep into the run yesterday that I felt really comfortable. I've had no problems with my feet, no rubbing, just very supportive, comfortable shoe. That's basically the big strength of it. I don't think it's a very fast shoe. It's quite big and wide, and that width is definitely a blessing at times in terms of providing some stability and hopefully maybe stopping you sinking too deep into sand and mud. But Mostly it's for that stability. Going down hills, you can let loose. When you're on good stretch where you're not really looking out for anything too tricky like roots or a big rock here and there, you can just let your legs go and the shoe will catch you and support you thanks to that wide base. The wide base is a problem, like I talked about on the run. I did catch myself a few times just because it is so much wider than my foot, that forefoot there, and I did have to adjust to that. And if you get distracted, I did catch my ankle a few times. And sometimes, you know, when you are going down, you will catch the edge of something that you didn't necessarily expect to land on because the base is so much wider than you maybe thought. But overall, really brilliant underfoot, and the grip was fine. Everything I went on yesterday, like I say, there's some mud, some muddy descents, lots of grass, some slippery rocks, some slippery staircases with those little wooden things on the end, to which, you know, are a bit skittish sometimes, some roots. Vibram is a big game changer for Nike. Actually, I was just walking around the outside of a holiday cottage in the Nike Vomero, which obviously has a Nike outsole, and slipped on a rock in like 4 steps near a house. Vibram is a big upgrade for Nike for sure. So that's very good to have on there. Underfoot, yeah, no problems at all. And also no problems with this midsole. Nothing's been chunked out of it. Like I said, I was running through some foliage at times, some sharp reeds, some sharp little thorns, and the little fabric wrap around the midsole does mean that nothing has been taken out of that in terms of chunks or anything like that. It's really well designed. I think it will be nice and durable. Upper, I'm less keen on. So I think it probably is going to be quite durable. This Vaporweave is almost like a slightly ripstop style material, but it's so thin, there are no overlays, and just like several points in the run yesterday, I had like a little thorn just come through the upper, just nick my toes and just stay there to try and work out where it was, pick it out. It's a road upper really. It's just got no protection at all, and for the most part that was fine yesterday. Lots of running on grass, lots of clear areas, but if I went slightly wrong, or there were sections where it really narrowed and there was loads of trees and bushes, and I did basically have to push through them, and I just don't feel like this upper is giving you enough protection for a trail shoe. I think that'll be more of a concern in some terrains than others. It was fine yesterday. It's very comfortable and holds the foot well at the back, and the fit is fine for me despite the fact it is such a wide shoe. But even now there's a thorn sticking into it. There we go. Yeah, and so I think that can be beefed up a little bit. Obviously it will add a little bit of weight, but it's quite a heavy shoe already. Weight's not a massive concern, I think, and it's just not strong enough, I think, in the forefoot. Hopefully it'll be durable. I haven't had any problems with it actually ripping or tearing after that. I've done 80k in the shoe overall now, with a fair few sections where I've run through reeds or bushes or spiky gorse things, and it hasn't ripped up. And like even towards the end of the run yesterday, I had to go right off the trail into some thick, like kind of gorsey stuff to let a few horses through that I didn't want to upset. And it's been okay for that, but yeah, it does catch thorns and holds them against your foot, and that's really annoying if you're running for a couple of k with something just pricking you and you have to stop and work out where it is. But overall, I think it's a great shoe. It's a shoe I'll probably use for the ultra I'm kind of training for at the moment. I'm doing an 80k ultra in September on fairly runnable terrain, and I think this will be the perfect shoe for me for this because it is comfortable. I like the fact it's got a higher drop than a lot of these trail shoes, which I prefer generally. It's very much a shoe that feels a lot like a road shoe coming onto the trails, but with good grip. The midsole's not overly squishy or anything like that. It's comfortable, stable, and it just helps you tick over, protects the legs well. Upper I think needs a bit of work, but overall, good shoe. Yeah, really good shoe. Don't go anything too deep, obviously, with those lugs. They are very shallow, but for the most part, they do provide pretty good traction, and certainly an upgrade on what we've seen from Nike before. Other few bits I did testing. We'll talk quickly about the Garmin Forerunner 965. A couple of notes on this. Brilliant watch for mapping. It's so bright, so clear on that AMOLED screen. You know, mapped all the way. I only had a few wrong turns, and mostly they were not because the watch was showing me the wrong trail, just the trail was indistinguishable from the area around it. It all looked like it could be the trail. So a couple of moments like that. One thing that is probably, I did scratch the screen at some point yesterday, got a little nick on the front of that. That is a difference to some of the hardier sapphire screen watches you can get in Garmin's range that probably wouldn't have taken that little scratch. So that's something to look out for with it. It is geared more towards road running. So in terms of battery life, like in the morning it was at 99%. I charged it the night before, then worn it overnight to track sleep. So it's at 99%. At the end of the day yesterday I had 62%. So out, like I say, running for nearly 5 hours, rest of the day as well, it's about 40%. So it does chunk through battery life if you have the always on screen on and go out and do a long activity like that. But obviously I was in no concerns at all about the battery running out. Coros heart rate monitor. This has been a really pleasant surprise actually. I don't really mind wearing a chest strap, so armband heart monitors, don't have that big benefit of comfort for me, but it is very convenient, this thing. You pick it up, it turns itself on automatically, you strap it on, it links up automatically, and it's really accurate. So I didn't have anything to test it against in terms of accuracy yesterday, but before I came away, I was testing it against a chest strap for a few runs, including a track session, a run with a long tempo section, things like that, and it was beat for beat with the Polar H10 chest strap. So I thought, this is the only heart rate monitor I'll take away. The battery life's pretty good, it turns itself off automatically. So
It's a really easy piece of kit, and I do think it's accurate, and actually it's probably going to be the heart rate monitor I use going forward just because it is so easy. And I certainly appreciated having an armband on yesterday compared to a chest strap, just because chest strap obviously gets in the way of the straps on your rucksack if you're running a long way and have a rucksack on. It's more noticeable, probably would have been less comfortable. Didn't notice this at all. I got good heart rate readings from it. I wasn't using heart rate a lot, but I've had a look afterwards and it all looks like it makes sense. Yeah, really good little piece of kit actually. I'm surprised by how much I like it, because normally, like I say, I don't really go for armband monitors, but that's probably now my favourite heart rate monitor to use. And then the Everdict trail running backpack from Decathlon I used yesterday. Like, I've got a lot of trail running backpacks, and this is the first chance I've had to use them over a really long trail run, and this was really comfortable. Like, it doesn't actually have loads of adjustment going on, but you have those 3 straps on the front, and they're key to adjusting it. I had it full with a full bladder, another 500-meter flask in the back. I had a jacket in there, an emergency blanket, just because I'm practicing the kit list for the Ultra. And then I stuffed the front pockets here with gels, bars, a couple of different lip balms. Oh, Jack Black Pineapple and Mint lip balm. One of my favourite bits of kit from yesterday, I will say. That was delicious on the lips. Tasted fantastic. It has SPF, which I needed. Yeah, that was really appreciated. So yeah, Jack Black, good lip balm. Yeah, so it was really quite full, but felt very comfortable. Got a bit of sloshing, but nothing you wouldn't expect from a bag. Enjoyed wearing it the whole way. No chafing, no rubbing. It was soaked with sweat, but has a waterproof pocket for your phone, which is really important. So that kept the phone dry the whole way. It's just a really good backpack. Comes in a little bit cheaper than others. I didn't need to fit it to the brim. It's got these expandable things on the outside as well, and you can attach a quiver for poles. But yeah, I really like that. I'll use that again for the Ultra I'm doing in September, just because I got on with it really well. And it has this little magnetic thing for your hose, I don't know, tube on your bladder. So you can unclip it, you can clip this anywhere on the backpack and then attach the tube with that thing, or just take the whole thing off each time, which is what I was doing, and then I was clipping it into the side. It's very handy because this thing can be very annoying, the tube, the hose, whatever you call it, if it's bouncing around. So I've chopped it down to make it shorter, which you can do very easily. And then I have yeah, you can move it around with the magnet to suit wherever you want it at the time. Fantastic day out on the trails. I've talked for long enough now. I'm going to go enjoy the rest of my holiday. Ultrafly overall didn't impress me, but yeah, it takes a lot from road shoes and brings it over, and some of that's fine. And actually some of the adjustments made have worked out really well. Like the new outsole was certainly a big win. The fabric wrapped ZoomX works really well, but the upper is, I think, a little bit lightweight for any kind of rough trails.